Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to show you how I make my journals. This video was requested by multiple people, so I'm really happy that I found the time to do it now. These journals will also be up for sale, so you can just go to my Instagram, @journalslobar, and you can purchase them there. What I started doing is cutting off pieces of cardstock that will be the spine, as you will replace the original spine from the storybook because it's too thin to add things to it. So what I do, I measure it to be 2 inches wide and just as long as the book, so that it's different for every book you use. I use these kind of books. I also use little golden books. Maybe in the future I'll find another type of book that I like. I just measure the book and then 2 inches. You can go bigger. I do 2 inches because I'm going to make a 2 insert book, but in the past I've done a 3 insert book and I did 3 inches back then. So I cut out 4 of them because I'm going to make 4 journals at the same time. I'm crazy, I know. So I'll show you a little bit of each, and in the end I will do a quick flip through of all of them. So gather your journal supplies or just a cup of tea and enjoy this video. And again, I'm not the best at explaining everything, but I'm definitely going to try, and I'm sure you will be able to do it as well. What I do now is I looked at the box and picked out a color for the spine on the inside. You'll see why I do that. It will look pretty in the end. So I'm just painting those. Looks very satisfying to me. And now I am going to make purple for the other. No, I'm not going to make purple. I'm going to make a dark pink. So, phew. This video is going to be a lot of voiceover because I'm trying to be helpful if you want to make your own journals. So I have a lot to tell you on what to do if you want to do it my way. But I should just suggest or tell you that this is not a tutorial because I am not the neatest person and I don't do everything by my rules or anything. I just do what feels right, and I'm not a perfectionist or anything. I just make journals and I love doing that. And yeah, so if you want to see like a tutorial with like measurements and stuff, go find someone else's. But the way I make journals is quite different than most people. Of course, I learned this from other people as well, but I couldn't tell you who I learned it from. I just looked up how to make a book out of a golden book. I don't know. Just if you want to learn how I do this, then just look that up, or like a traveler style notebook type of deal. I don't know. You'll be fine. I'll try to explain it anyways. So what I'm doing here is picking papers for each book, and this took forever. But I got a lot of new papers, so I had a lot of options. So what I do, I just lay out this book so that I can flip through them and see if the colors match. I also had to pick paper for the spine, and that's pretty big deal to me because it has to look good with the front and preferably also with the back. But I'm not too worried about the back. Yeah, I really liked what I ended up with. Sorry if I sound a little bit sick, but I have hay fever, so I sound like this all the time. Especially when I do voiceovers, which is really annoying. I don't know why. Like, I start talking, and then suddenly I sound like my nose is full. Sorry, I didn't know the word for it. So I'm trying to make this voiceover as good as possible, but I'm sorry. So after we picked all the papers we're going to cut them down to size so that they fit in the journal. I chose 4 pattern papers, the big ones for each journal, and then 2 smaller ones. For some of them 3 because I chose smaller papers, and then 2 colored papers and 2 blank papers to lined, and then all the storybook pages. Because I'm making 4 journals at a time, it takes a longer amount of time, but I assume that all of you are just going to make a journal for yourself, so it will only be one, and that will save you some time. And I should definitely recommend trying it first on a book that you don't mind, or a book you make yourself out of like a cereal box or anything. There are a lot of tutorials on that as well, and I've done that multiple times, making a cardboard journal out of a cereal box or anything like that, but I always found it to be very like not nice to work in because it felt so cheap. I don't know if that's the right word for it. I always just found it that it didn't matter how good it looked, it just felt like not sturdy and just not very good. So I would recommend your first journal to be that, because it's just not that difficult to make, but it's not my preference. Oh, here I'm showing which papers I chose for every book. So this is for the Beauty and the Beast one. You can see all the different varieties of papers I chose, which colors worked well with the storybook pages and worked well with each other. Now for Bambi, that was the thing I'm going to use for the spine. And then all the other books are just kind of nature colors and a touch of lilac. And then we go on with Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. It was my second time doing a Snow White journal, but this one was so different with the colors, so I chose a whole different kind of papers selection, so that was a lot of fun. Very beautiful book, looks definitely the most vintage out of all of them, so I chose toned down colors, blue, green, a little bit of lilac. And then lastly, for the Little Mermaid, I chose this for the spine. I was going to see how I would make that happen, and it did happen well. So I chose a lot of purple because of her top and the beautiful fishes in the sea. And then, of course, blue for the water and some yellow for flounder and some green. And I really love all of these papers so much. They're looking so good. So what I'm going to do next is the most heartbreaking part of making a journal, and that is cutting the book apart. What you want to do is cut off the front and the back so that the spine can be removed, and also the papers in it. Try to do it as even as possible, and then I'll put the spine between it. Put the ugly side out because that will be covered up with paper. I'll just eyeball how big I want that paper to be. It's going to cover up the spine, but also a little bit of the front and the back. So I'll just sort of measure that out and cut it out and glue it down. So to glue it down, I use sticky glue, and I use that with a brush so it gets everywhere, and then I pre-fold this piece of paper so that it won't tear when the book folds. So a little thing I did for fun is every step that I work on a journal, I chose another journal, so you can see me work in every journal but not see the same step over and over again. I thought that was nice to think about. So here I'm just gluing it down. It takes a little bit longer to dry, but it does really hold well together, and it doesn't really get bubbly. Maybe a little, but what do you want? You want it to stick, right? So that was my head. All right, so I'm just going to pat it, and it will be fine. And after that, I will make the ribbons I used to open and close the book. I even ironed them this time. I ironed ribbons. I'm so dedicated to these journals. Oh my gosh. And this time I also made them a little bit bigger. So if you're one of those people who like to really make it bulky, then this journal is ideal for you. So I chose yellow for 3 of them and the blue. I don't want to say blue because some people probably think it's green. Anyways, after that I burn the edges so that it doesn't, I don't know the word for that, but you know what happens if you don't burn ribbon, it's not going to look good. So after that I'm going to show you a little bit of my tea staining process. This time I did a little bit more of coffee staining and it wasn't as dark as other times, but I liked how it turned out. Oh, I think this is my least favorite part because in my room it's just filled with paper and it's a little bit boring. So I think that will be my least favorite part. There are a lot of tea staining tutorials on the internet, so you can just look them up. It's not that difficult. You just make tea with a lot of bags and just put paper in that water, in that tea. So that's it. And now I'm going to show you how I do the binding. It's not shown very well, so I'm sorry for that. What I do is with the bigger needle I poke 2 holes on top and down the bottom where the elastic will go through. So you'll need a piece of elastic that is 2.5 size of the height of the journal. What you'll do, if you have 3 holes, you always pick the middle one. But I only have 2 holes, so I pick the first one. I go from inside to the outside and then put the elastic through the hole next to it and let the loose end hang in the journal. Then I go with the longer piece to the one right under it, go out, go through the outside into the hole next to it, and pull that in, and then you have 2 loose ends and you put those together and then you have 2 elastics for the insert. So you can see me doing that in case this was the fakest thing you've ever heard. I'm sorry for that. I'm not great at explaining this, but you can see me do that now. Not really. So at first I was really bad at this and I couldn't do it and it took forever, but now with all the practice I've had, I'm pretty fast at doing this. The only hard thing is to get the elastic through the holes, but if you make the holes big enough, then that will be fine as well. And here you see me take the loose ends and put them together, and then you have 2 elastics ready for your inserts to get in there. And then this is how it looks, all neat and ready to be filled. What I'm doing now is hot gluing the ribbon to the sides of the book. You have to be really careful doing that because you can really burn your fingers. That happens sometimes when I use too much glue and it comes out of the ribbon, like under the ribbon. I use this way because this ribbon has to be really in its place. It can't go loose or anything, so that's why I use hot glue. I try not to use hot glue for everything because it's just not neat. You're not in control of what happens, so I only use it for this part of making the journal. And I just really like how the ribbon adds so much to the journal, being able to close it, and it just really helps with everything. I love it. So after the ribbons have been added, I'm finally going to work on the papers. So what I'm going to do is cut them to size. So I start with the pages from the book. I have to cut these down because you don't want them to stick out. So what I do is cut off 1 centimeters from the length and 1.5 centimeters from the width, and then I just put that on the others and just trace it. No, not trace it, but like doing this, what I'm doing right now. And I just got it off, and that goes pretty fast. If you are more precise than me, you can also just mark every page and cut it off that way. But I think this way is way more efficient because, yeah, you understand. So on every page I look where there's more space for me to cut something off for the top of the bottom. Of course not for the side, because you just have to cut the side that isn't connected to another page. So I do that with every page. But with this journal, it was almost all from the bottom, but most of them were really like diverse in that. Now here I'm going to fold all the other pieces and cut the bigger parts. Here I'm choosing which one I want to be the inserts, because that's the paper you're going to look at most. So I'm deciding which to go the best together. I really wanted to use that blue one, that light blue one with the bigger flowers, so I chose that one with the light pink one, because I thought that would look better with that one. Now I'm just going to cut that out. I measured that to be a little bit bigger than the storybook pages, because it has to go over everything, so it goes smaller, if that makes sense. If you cut at the same size, then just the middle pages are always going to be longer than the outside pages. So what I do with the pieces that are left off, I just fold them in half the other way around and use them in a journal as well. Extra paper, who doesn't want that? So I also use these color book pages. It's a really great tip to use those, because they have beautiful pictures, and I'm never going to color them anyway, so it's a really good reason to use those. And I absolutely love these ones with the roses. I didn't love the back, so I decided to make a pocket out of this one. I just put double-sided tape on it, and then you made a pocket, and I fold it in half, and that will be sewn in the middle, so you have 2 pockets in the end. Now I'm just going to continue with measuring and cutting out all of these papers until I have a nice stack of paper. And now that I have all the papers ready, I will have to see what the order is of the storybook pages. It can be the right order, because its binding was how can I explain this? Let's say with multiple inserts as well, so it doesn't go chronological, but a little. Kinda a little. Like in the end, it's happy ending, and the beginning is how it starts. So it's kinda, but you can read it correctly. So that's how that works. And I just lay down the 2 inserts and try to make it look pretty with the nice order that I like. Just a little bit of puzzling around it to see what I like. I tried to make the journals, the inserts, as even as possible with the same amount of paper and the same sort of paper. So I use 2 color papers, so I'll use one in each, and lime paper, and just so that everything kind of works, like they're the same, even if they're different. And I use that pocket in the middle because I like the way that looks, just having that in the middle. And also that makes it easier for me to sew it in, because you'll see when I go sewing, I can't hold that pocket with my clip, so I have to hold it with my hand, and it would have been maybe like suited wrong if I did it somewhere else, but I could do that as well. It doesn't really matter. So here I'm going to bind it. What I do is, from the inside out, I poke a hole in the middle and then go to the other side, go through that, then go back in the middle, and then from the outside into the bottom half where there's no hole hole yet, and then in the middle I'll tie a knot. This doesn't always work, but when I filmed it, it did work, so that was great. I just struggle with this a lot because it's easy to get it too loose, so sometimes I just stick it down with tape, but luckily for me, I nailed it this time. So, and then you see it's done and you can flip through it, and it's very satisfying if you just sew that yourself and you see how good it looks. So the pockets are working and everything looks good, exactly as I wanted. And now we'll do it again with the other insert. So if you're going to do this for the first time, I would recommend you try it before that with just some scrap pieces of paper so that you don't ruin your papers, because that can be really frustrating. It's kind of hard. Maybe you're a pro, but I wasn't. And some of these pages are taped together because they fell apart, and most of them not, but some storybook pages, since this book is like a decade old or something, so or older than that. Just do the same process, and I'm going to tie them together as well. I'm going to succeed again. I'm so proud of myself. And then there you have it, 2 inserts. Really, they're sturdy. They're not falling apart or anything. Of course, you should be careful with them. But yeah, it looks good. So I remove the clips and have that satisfying effect again, seeing the journal together for the first time. Then I'll show you how I decorated them. So I didn't show you how I do this, but it's quite easy. I just attach mostly embroidery thread, and I just make a knot on the elastic, so it's easy to come off. It doesn't come off, but if you want it to come off, you can just get it off or add things to it, or whatever you like. So that's the thing I like about this. For the Little Mermaid one, I chose a lilac bead and a pearl one, and of course the gold initial I add to most of my journals. You can just, if you want to purchase one of my journals, go to my DMs and just ask for your initial, and I'll add that one to it. For Bambi, I added some a piece of fabric with a butterfly sewn in, and 2 strings of one leaf and one with an initial, and other beads. For Peter Piece one, I added some lace, and then strings with a rose bead, some gold, a pearl, and the B from Belle. But you can of course choose your own initial, whatever you like. And for the Snow White one, I added a heart and a leaf and other beads with an initial again. I also added on all of them. 3 of them I added pearls along the side, and with this one on the spine as well. And with the Bambi one, I added some ribbon to the side. So now I'll do a quick flip through of all of them so you can see how it ended up looking. So I'm really happy with all of them, how they turned out. I really love all the papers I've picked, and just the tea staining and just everything together. It looks so good. These storybook pages are beautiful. The pictures are so big and colorful, and I love it so much. I'm a huge Disney fan, so I'll probably be making these journals for a longer time. So this is the Bambi one. Also really love this one. So please let me know in the comments if you are going to try and make this journal, or if you tried and how it turned out, and if you like this journal, if it was helpful, if I showed things good enough, explained it well enough. I tried. And I really hope that it at least gives you inspiration to make a journal, or just to fill a journal. Doesn't really matter. There's some girls on Instagram who started this Junk Journal July, if I say it wrong, right. And I'm going to attend that as well. So I'll see how that goes. I hope I'll do it every day, but we'll see. It's just to get yourself going, I guess. just fun to participate. So let me know if you're doing that as well. You can follow me on Instagram to see what I do with that challenge. And this is the last journal I'm going to flip through. I really hope you liked this video and you thought it was helpful. If you do, please leave a like and a comment. Subscribe to my channel. It would mean a lot to me to grow more. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye!